3 o'clock, obviously. Away we go. It is a Thursday. Feels like a Friday, but it is a Thursday. It's the Daily Ticket. Hello, everybody. The madness. Yeah, it's no longer getting close. I think the madness is here after last night. What a game down there at College Park. What an ending, let's put it that way. It wasn't the best game, but bottom line is you know what you're getting with Tom Izzo and his team defensively. But a crazy ending with the heave from past half court to walk it off in front of Scott Van Pelt with the tweet of the night. Yeah, great game. Now I have to go to work. I love that stuff. Joe Tansey joining us here on today's Daily Ticket as we are from the studio back at home, still dealing with my mother dealing with her surgery. Feeling good, though. Moving all right for those people that are wondering. She is doing much better. And next week, be back in studio on Monday with a lot to get to. And Joe, good afternoon, man. How you been?
We have a bracket. We have one singular conference tournament bracket in front of my face. There's conference tournament futures in front of my face at DraftKings. It's time. I know it's February 27th, but you got a hint of it last night with the buzzer beater, and you have a tangible bracket in front of my face. I got the whole graphic with the conference tournament TV schedule in front of me now. I'm ready.
Yeah, this is what it's all about. And of course, it got here a little bit faster than years past because of what took place with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Super Bowl run. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, man. It's fun to look up at the calendar and see, oh, March literally on Sunday. So here we are.
We still got 3 weeks until the tournament begins.
Yeah. Yeah, we got 2 more Saturdays of regular season Saturday action, and then we have the conference tournament week, which it's great. I love conference tournament week. I know you do as well. Anytime you can get me college hoops on at noon, that matter to a point. I'm tuned in. We're all tuned in. Hopefully we could pick some winners as well. But a lot to discuss with you, Joe. We're going to go all around the sports carousel here. And so much going on. Just to let the people know, first and foremost, next week we will be live at the Philly Show, phillyshow.com, 7th through the 9th. So check out what they have to offer. We're just talking about the Eagles winning the Super Bowl championship. They will all be there, from Jalen Hurts to Nick Sirianni to Howie Roseman to Gilly to Dom, all the players that made all the plays. They'll be signing autographs. Check out the schedule and details. It is an awesome event to get to, and it's taking place all next week at Oaks, PA from March 7th through the 9th, phillyshow.com. All right, we do have a lot going on today on the station, Joe. We are going to go right here for the next 45 minutes, as I said, the sports carousel. Then we'll mix it up with Ryan Beef Coyle the next hour. He's got the Bending the Edge, where him and McClay will be talking all things somewhat combine, more about the prospects, more about the NFL draft.
Abdul Carter is a failed prospect, by the way. Absolutely failed. There's no way he should be one of the first 31 picks in the NFL draft.
Yes, I totally agree.
I hate smear campaigns, but I gladly support this one if nobody picks Abdul Carter until the Eagles at 32.
Let me ask you this, and we'll dive into we will open up with what's taking place in the combine, the NFL insiders ready to brawl, and the Abdul Carter nonsense that took place last night on the timeline, that we had folks texting us at midnight, and then I wake up, I see it, it's there, it's being discussed, and then the next report is, no, he's not going to need surgery. What happened last night?
I'm not sure, because
it's like, wait a minute.
I want to know more about the Jordan Schulte and Rappaport scuffle. Because, I mean, you're just watching guys run in their underwear at the combine.
Yep.
What do they call it? The Underwear Olympics?
Underwear Olympics, yeah.
Like, it's cool to an extent, but I think, like, at least the more important part for, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff is, like, the interviews and getting to meet all those coaches and personnel in person, some for the first time. Like, I think that's, like, the most meaningful part that comes out for these prospects. But look, Abdul Carter might be the best player in the draft, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you take need out of it, right? you have Shedeur Sanders, you have Cam Ward, and you have Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, right? I think that's your four for the most part. I think that's what everybody agrees on. So of course he's going to, every little injury that he's suffered or every little procedure he's had done is going to come under the microscope, no pun intended, because he might be the number one pick. The Titans might pick him. I don't think they will, but it's not a long shot. I'll say that.
DraftKings right now showing Cam Ward minus 155 to be the number one pick. Abdul Carter plus 170. Travis Hunter plus 425. Shedeur 9-1. And then a drop off the Jackson Dart at 65-1. I don't think Jackson Dart's gonna be a good quarterback.
Jackson Dart's not going number one.
Yeah, we know.
But
that.
you know how draft markets. I mean, the most notable draft market is what the Paolo Banchero draft. When Woj tweeted out like middle of the day that Banchero wasn't going number one, and then it flipped. Like everybody got mad because it manipulated the markets and everything like that. But draft markets are so fickle because look, it's February 27th. We still have 2 full months to go before the draft. So what happens if the Titans fall in love with Shedeur Sanders? They could. I'm not saying they will, but they could. The NFL draft markets are so fun because you're literally speculating along with everybody else. Because, I mean, how many of us, I mean, we were watching the draft together doing a live broadcast last year, and nobody expected Michael Penix to be picked, right? You're really going off of just like feel. So it's fun if that's your thing and you want to speculate and you really want to dig into what these teams are doing. But it's such a fascinating thing, the number one pick odds, because I guarantee you they'll shift at least 3 or 4 more times before even April 1st.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And look, the shift had already taken place. Remember, we were talking about this a couple weeks ago where I think you could have got Cam Ward. Again, it was offshore. It wasn't really available on DraftKings or FanDuel, but I think it was like plus 800, 8-1 for Cam Ward to be the first quarterback taken over Shedeur, not the overall number one pick.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you how much we've shifted to where we're at right now. You brought up need, and that is interesting because obviously with the Titans, there's no doubt in my mind that they could use a quarterback, but like, is there a way that they could talk themselves into Abdul Carter? Absolutely. I think there's a way that they could talk themselves into Travis Hunter. I don't think it's a lock that the Titans will be taking a quarterback number one overall, even though they absolutely need one, no doubt in my mind. But I could still see somebody like Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter going number one at this point in time. I will lean towards Cam over Shedeur, but I think you're right. Shedeur gets in front of him. You know, I don't think there's a huge drop off between the two. I think Shedeur could be a pick as well, but
you also have to remember Cam Ward's like 23, 24. I mean, he started, Miami was his third school because he started at Incarnate Word and then went to Wazoo. So he's been around the block too. Do you see that as a positive or a negative? And then I also think what the Giants do is fascinating, right?
Oh yeah,
because that's a franchise that reeks of desperation at the moment. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that Stafford's being rumored to go there. I don't know. I think the Stafford stuff is BS because you can still win with the Rams. I get he's expensive, but who's coming in there to replace him? Is it Darnold? Like
Aaron Rodgers,
which would be even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So like how does the carousel spin? And if the Giants don't have a seat on that carousel in free agency and the trade market, I wouldn't be surprised if they move up to one just because they have to do something.
They don't have a quarterback on the roster right now.
Probably for
they don't have a quarterback on their roster. And some are saying, yeah, it's probably the best their quarterback room has looked in years, no doubt. But it is crazy that the New York Giants do not have a quarterback, the most important position in all of sports, on their roster. You're right. They could trade up. It's something we need to keep take into account if we're going to wager on that market. Again, nothing is really pushing me one way or the other. The only thing that I was bought in on from the quarterback. That was it. Who will be the first quarterback selected. And Cam Ward is minus 500. Shedeur Sanders plus 320. So there's zero value on Cam Ward. If you want to take a swing on Shedeur, I don't hate it at plus 320, but I think it's a losing play either way. So the draft
I'll make a bold prediction. I don't know what Tyler Warren's position is.
Oh yeah,
like the over under on position. I would take the under on that. A lot of the mock drafts have him going to the Colts at like 13. I think that's where the Colts are. They're mid first round. I don't think he's making it that far. He's that good of a football player.
Oh, he's awesome.
I think he's top 10. I think if that's a market right now, like an over under on his draft position, I'd probably hammer the under. I don't see him lasting outside the top 10.
I couldn't agree more with you on that one. You know, you look at like the tight ends that have just busted on the scene in a big way as far as the NFL and just recently, you know, all you have to do is say to yourself, okay, well, if I can get any amount of production from Tyler Warren that some of these guys are giving me that we've seen in these last 2 seasons at that position, like Brock Bowers, anybody along those lines. Who the hell is the damn tight end? Why am I? Oh, Laporta. I struggled there for a second. I haven't thought of Sam Laporta in a minute. Laporta, you know, like these are the next generational talents at that position that are showing you that, man, the target share is just something that we've never seen before for a guy at that position. And oh, by the way, they're pretty good blockers. They're not afraid to stick their noses in it. So take a flyer on them. Tyler Warren is that dude. There's no doubt.
You're telling me that the Jets at 7, the Panthers at 8, the Saints at 9, none of them need a dynamic playmaker across the middle? They all do.
They all do.
They need playmakers just in general. But, I mean, that's the sweet spot. I mean, even the Bears. I mean, Cole Kmet's okay, but if you give me Tyler Warren, I'd take him over Cole Kmet any day of the week, and that's another fascinating piece for Ben Johnson to work with. I know there's a lot of needs everywhere, but man, I see these mock drafts and see Warren at 14 to the Colts, and I'm like, how is that possible? I think he's a top 10 pick.
There is some other dumb stuff that's being discussed, and no, not the insider fight. I do have a top 10 storylines from Yahoo from the NFL Combine. And one of the other questions, we already basically hit on the first 5. Travis Hunter, what's going to happen with him? I don't know if you have a take on that.
He's going to play corner, and then he's going to get into camp, and whoever the offensive coordinator is on that team is like, oh, I have Travis Hunter. I'll be interested to see, like, come like July or August, if we get any offensive props season long for Travis Hunter. Because I guarantee you, none of these teams in the top 5, Tennessee, Cleveland, Giants, New England, and Jacksonville, even Vegas, hell, even anybody in the top 10, none of these teams are good enough to say, well, Travis Hunter just played cornerback the entire season. They're not good enough. You're telling me you're gonna have a wide receiver, an extra weapon on your bench. Not saying playing both ways. It's near impossible. But you're telling me that none of those teams will have gimmick plays lined up for him, or have him say, or tell him, go to the slot, go run deep, catch some passes. He'll be involved. I want to see that no matter where he goes, if there's like season-long offensive props for him.
Be interesting. You know, he's a different type of cat. He's a different dude. He's got it mentally, so that doesn't scare me one bit about getting him out there playing both ways. But it's definitely taxing on the body, and if he's really good at one way or the other, I don't know if I want to mess with that. But, you know, like, and not in a same conversation, but you look at Cooper DeJean, it's like, I don't know if I want him back to returning punts anymore. That's how good he is, and what he's going to be doing in the secondary in these upcoming years, and specifically next year. So Travis is a hell of a talent at wide receiver, though. I don't
go to the Giants.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Don't go to the Giants, and I don't want to see them trade for Matthew Stafford either. That's the best case scenario for the Giants if they end up getting Matthew Stafford.
I actually wouldn't mind that. I'm not afraid of Matthew Stafford.
He makes them a legitimate team, not a contender, a team this year, though. Like rookie, they're not a legitimate team. That's a team that's going to lose. They're going to win 5-6 games. Matthew Stafford could very well get them to 500.
It's 500, though.
It could be a
I'm not
win
scared.
against the Eagles versus going 0-2 versus the Eagles.
We just went 2-0 against Matthew Stafford this year with a much better roster in Los Angeles.
Good. Boom. Point, Tansey. Nice work there by you on that one. All right. Well, we won't get too bogged down on that one. But as far as the storylines from the combine, again, this is some fun stuff. And you know college football better than most, especially with these draft picks. They do ask the question, who will emerge as running back 2 with Ginty going number 1? Is there another one? Is it Hampton out of North Carolina?
He's a stud.
Yeah, he is. He's nasty. They also throw out the duo of Judkins and Trayvon Henderson. Iowa's Caleb Johnson and a few others could create a lot of buzz if they work out well in Indy. Is there another running back that you think should be in the same conversation as Ginty?
I don't know about the same conversation as Ginty, but I think there's going to be a lot of value, though. I mean, you look at the running backs that are listed. You have Amarion Hampton, who's very good in North Carolina. Caleb Johnson had a really good year at Iowa, but nobody talked about it because Iowa their way through the season. Dylan Sampson, the kid from Tennessee, a lot of people are high on. Oh, by the way, Ollie Gordon is in the draft class.
Wow.
Oklahoma State had a horrible year, but I mean, this is still a multiple 1,000-yard season rusher. Cam Scatterbo.
Yep.
I mean, look, somebody's going to pick him in the second or third round, and then come like October, we're going to be like, oh, Cam Scatterbo's like out here earning snaps and in meaningful games. Of course he is. I mean, the dude's like, he's a gamer. Forget the size, forget the measurements. You can't measure the heart and what he showed for Arizona State this year. So I mean, it kind of feels like that always. Like we have the second, third round backs, and all of a sudden, oh, these guys are really good. It happens every year that out of nowhere, and like, oh, well, they were third, fourth round picks, so we're not going to pay too much attention to them. And then mid-season, they're carrying the load on your fantasy team.
Cam Scatterbo was one of those next questions, and they said, can he improve his stock? You're right. That's a dude that I would love to have in my foxhole, as they say. He's a badass, so he's proved his worth. They also asked the question, is there another Xavier Worthy this year after he ran a 4.21 40-yard dash? You know what the crazy thing is? I was watching the Eagles. The Eagles put this video out of all their current players running the 40-yard dash, and Jordan Davis runs like a 4.82. That body should not be moving that fast. No way. And Jalen Hurts ran like a 4.6. Like, dude, that is just insane to see Jordan Davis run a 40-yard dash as fast as he did in Indy. Crazy.
I think Isaiah Bond from Texas, they were saying he was hurt. Like he transferred from Bama, and he was just hurt a lot of the season. So I don't know if he's 100% healthy, but I've seen his name float around about just in terms of just pure speed. I mean, he's 5'11", 180, so he ain't carrying around much.
Wow. That is just crazy. So fast, but those guys are difference makers, and depending where they end up, Andy Reid all of a sudden gets Xavier Worthy. That a bright offensive mind will be able to make something work there with some speed like that. All right, the next one up, and finally, we're not going to talk offensive tackle. Then they want to know how deep is the defensive class. Again, we're not going to get too crazy, but I think it speaks for itself right at the top with Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter going in the top 10, possibly the top 5. That's a pretty good start for the defensive side of the ball.
I mean, you have James Pierce from Tennessee, who at the start of the college season was mocked pretty high. I think he went into the college season as a consensus top 5 pick. I mean, he's still going to be a first rounder. A bunch of Georgia guys are in there. Scourin and Stewart, the edge rushers from Texas A&M, are going to be in the mix for first round. I mean, you have Jahad Campbell from Alabama. He was really good. Will Johnson from Michigan, the cornerback. He'll probably be a top 10 pick, right? So you have all of these guys. And I think the most fascinating case is Ravel, the cornerback from East Carolina, who tore his ACL, I think in September, October. And now everybody's talking about him and seeing what he can do maybe not at the combine, but just over the next few months to see if he's healthy enough, because he's a guy that was projected first round as well. So there's a lot of defensive talent. There really is. And it's not all from Georgia this year.
Yeah, exactly.
We got all the Georgia guys here.
All right. So that was the top 10 storylines from the NFL Combine. Yahoo Sports had a nice little article there. I'll tweet that out at @Sean_Brace. Tansey giving his backdrop on all of those questions. Curious to know his backdrop on this one, though. Jordan Schultz, who represents Fox Sports, verbally accosted Ian Rappaport of NFL Media at an Indy Starbucks on Wednesday afternoon. The best part about that is Jordan Schultz's old man was the creator of Starbucks, literally the number one guy, Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks. So he gets into a fight of all places there.
He had home field advantage. It's not fair to Rappaport.
Good God.
He knows his way around this. I mean, if you're going to pick a fight now, not only do you have at least a few inches of height, a weight advantage, but then you're picking it on your home turf.
It's absurd. Well, Jordan Schultz is a maniac, and he blocked me a long, long time ago. Very few people have blocked me. I don't do things to get blocked, but he didn't like when I called out a complete BS bogus report that he threw up against the wall. I will say this, and I've said it before in the last couple of years, that he has had some information that others haven't. So although I thought he was a BS artist, wannabe insider, it is clear that he does have connections and he does get information out there. And that was a long time ago. That was a few years ago. But regardless, insiders in general are the biggest egos out there. Like, tell me somebody that's got a bigger ego than Adam Schefter. Yeah, than a newsbreaker, right?
Yep.
Ian, and if people have no idea what the hell we're talking about, long story short is this: the report that Jordan Schultz put out there that Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford was invited out to Tom Brady's Montana house to go skiing. And essentially people were saying, well, that could be tampering, which it could be, blah, 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 everything with Brady. And then Ian Rappaport says, oh, they bumped into each other. It's not out of, the realm of possibility that, you got two guys run into each other that are big skiers. And it was just completely bogus from Rappaport's perspective. Like, it was a little weird, but to the point that you got to go up there and challenge him to a fight, get so upset over a tweet. People are going to say what they want to say.
It's all information gathering and messaging. That's all it is in any sport when it comes to these newsbreakers, right? It's getting the information out through your connections, and you build these relationships over time, right? Because these guys have been at it forever.
Oh yeah.
So of course, like if there's if they're sympathetic to Matthew Stafford's agent or Brady's agent, or don't want to make it sound like it is tampering, which by the way, like, who cares at this point with the Brady Raiders thing? Like, if they weren't going to enforce the rules during the broadcast season, they're not going to, like, who cares? It really isn't that big of a deal. Also, the Raiders aren't going to be good.
No. I
mean, the Kansas City Chiefs live in their division until Patrick Mahomes retires. And you have Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton in that division too. The Raiders are going to need a lot of help, a lot of tampering for that to even matter. I think people are still probably butthurt about the Patriots stuff too.
Oh yeah.
So that's probably where it comes from. Who cares? It's all information gathering and messaging. That's how insiders work at every sport, every level. And it's very clear that the way things were worded from Rappaport, and I think Schefter chimed in as well, that like somebody's camp said, hey, this is kind of the message we want going out. It's all ego and glad handing and all that kind of stuff. Like every newsbreaker's got an ego.
Oh yeah, definitely. And look, I don't think there's any reason to go up to Ian Rappaport and start trying to fight him over what he tweeted, unless I'm missing something. I think that's way over the top from Jordan Schultz, but it doesn't surprise me.
There were like years and years of stuff, like frustration built up. That might have been a thing too.
That's true too. You're right. But
when you have egos.
Yeah. and you're in a Starbucks in Indy. There's not much to do. The anxiety's kicking in.
I do think if Schultz wanted to have a fair fight, though, he could have done it like the Duncan.
Yes.
I mean, come on. I mean, that's just unfair. That's home ice advantage in Game 7 here at the Starbucks. He knows his way around. He knows where the tables are. Knows where to confront him. Stupid. Plus, he can see further than Rappaport.
Yeah. So ridiculous, but definitely a storyline coming out of Indy, and we appreciate that. Give us a little something to have some fun here on a Thursday, but we'll move off of that, and we'll leave that one to the other people that are out there breaking news. Good stuff across the board on that one. All right, now let's get on over to the hardwood. Before we dive into college, let's do the NBA first. Let's hit on the NBA. Couple
Sixers are 0-1 since Paul George gave up his podcasting. What an incredible dutiful honor or gesture from Paul George. The selflessness involved.
I can't believe this is real life. I can't believe he's not trolling us.
In going on a hiatus from your podcast.
and to release a statement.
How honorable can you be?
And to release a statement
now at the late February to focus on the championship.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in 12th place. I mean, it's just there's no self-awareness. Absolutely none. It was funny though that he dropped 20 plus last night.
It was his best game.
It would have been just the perfect cherry on top if they went into MSG and won that game and Paul George was the leading scorer. Could you imagine?
Yes, I could, because it's the Sixers. I would probably recommend to him to playing bad, so this way he can say, see, this is what happens when I stop doing my podcast. I don't know how much worse he can get, but he said it straight face, and that blew me away. Everyone's just a troll these days. The people at the highest power, highest positions in this country are just trolls. Everyone's a troll. So I assume
what do you think went into that? What do you think went into that?
I can tell you what he said. He said,
yeah,
I want to let the podcast P family know that after today's episode with Dwight, I plan to take a break. Was that Dwight Howard? Was Dwight Howard on it?
I guess, yeah.
Oh, God.
Can't say I'm one of the podcast peoples.
You're not a podcast P family member. Okay.
No, I'm
not.
He
says, I plan to take a break from the pod. I know where he lives. He actually lives over here in the main line. A buddy of mine has rented his place to him. With a cool, what was the number? I put it in the chat.
How sick is the podcast studio?
It's yeah. It doesn't have a pool, I don't think, in the backyard, but it's a crazy number to rent per month. It's stupid. Anyways, he said I plan to take a break from the pod just to focus on getting my body right, getting mentally right, and helping this squad make a push towards our goal to finish the season out and give ourselves a chance to be in contention to compete for a championship. He said that straight face. That blows my mind that he didn't choke up and just start cracking up laughing. But regardless, I don't know if anything got to him, whether it was comments, whether maybe he looked himself in the mirror, whether somebody said something to him. I don't know. But it's just so ridiculous that on February 26th, when you are literally in the basement, it could not have gone worse. You're falling apart at the seams. Joel Embiid's done. And then you have the gall to say, you know what, I'm going to step away. You're doing us all a favor. Oh, thanks, Paul. We appreciate it. I couldn't believe it was real life, Joe. I thought you guys were joking.
I would have liked it after, or before the games against the Nets and the Bulls, because they're your direct play-in rivals for the 10 seed. Can't believe I said that with a straight face. But, yeah, I mean, losing by 40 to the Bulls, was that the last straw?
Yeah, tell me about it.
There's so many things that have happened this season. It's just now is the time.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, the Warriors come in here on Saturday. I mean, I don't know, the spread's obviously not out yet, but they're going to kick the Sixers' ass. I mean, that's going to be a 20, 25 point win easily, because they're actually chasing a championship because they've played better since Jimmy Butler arrived. I mean, it's just, and it's the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference isn't good. The Bulls are actively tanking and beat the Sixers by 40 points.
It's ridiculous. This season could not have gone any worse. It really couldn't. And I'm tapping out. I'm trying not even to care. I don't want to be hit with emails about getting surgery. Who got surgery today? I don't even care. I don't even care. Somebody got surgery. Like, I don't even, if I could block all alerts for anything Sixers really related, I would. I really would. Eric Gordon did. Eric Gordon got surgery. That's right.
Well, Eric Gordon won us a lot of money in December, so I can't really complain that much. But hey, look, the Flyers are still in the playoff hunt.
I know you told me that the other day, and it blew my mind because they were in the
everybody in the Eastern Conference is still in the wild card hunt. But at least they beat a bad team Tuesday night. They beat the Penguins, can beat them again. Michkov's playing well. I don't know. Well, we're grasping for straws here.
Philly sports, God bless them. You know, look, if you're a diehard Philly sport fan, you can't watch anything else. I feel for you at this time. That's not how we operate, though. You know that. Because the NBA and college hoops have been incredible.
Well,
college basketball has been way better than the NBA this year.
The good news is you have the Big Five to rely on, and they're all going to make the tournament. Oh, just kidding. They're not.
No, yeah, exactly that. Big win by Villanova last night, though. Oof, what an ugly game.
Oh, yeah, over mighty Seton Hall.
What an ugly game. Good grief. All right, NBA first, though. I want to open up with the Shaedon Sharpe dunk. That was incredible. It was the dunk of the year if you missed it. Not much happening between those two teams either, the Trailblazers and the Wizards. But, man, the way he was able to just levitate, cock the ball back, the call was incredible. By far, my favorite dunk this year. So if you didn't catch that, definitely check that out. I don't know how you didn't catch it on your timeline. And then a sleeper story, man, the Pistons. I had the Pistons last night against the Celtics. How about that? Plus 160 outright on the money line, catching 5 at home. They now extended their win streak to 8 straight, their longest win streak in 17 years. They're 33-26 at this point in time. Like, the Pistons are putting it together. And, oh, by the way, Tobias Harris, he's playing well, which is unfortunate for Sixers fans, but I don't care. Put that to the side.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool story, though. It is a cool story, and I think there is a high of 4 seed at this point in time. Like, I'm impressed with the Pistons putting it together this year. I am.
If the Pistons end up there, so there's 6 right now. Indiana and Milwaukee are right ahead of them. If they get matched up with the Celtics or the Knicks, I guess it would just be the Knicks now because they're the 3 seed, because the play-in still exists. They're frisky. They're frisky and playing with no fear. Now, can they win it all? Probably not. Because if I'm still a little iffy on Duren, he can get into foul trouble really quickly. When he's on, but it can be rough. Cade has played incredible all season, and they're doing this all without Jaden Ivey being, he's been out for a long time. They've kind of pieced it all together. Tobias is playing well. Malik Beasley is shooting well off the bench. So you've got some nice pieces. Look, first round, sure, right? I think it's kind of a first round, win the series, and that's the expectation. But when you look at, I think it's still Boston's conference, right? Yeah. At this point, yeah. I mean, Cleveland's a great story too, but it's Boston's conference to lose. And then it's just a matter of, well, the Knicks, I mean, I think we all know the stats now after the Celtics game on Sunday, how bad they are against the top teams in the league. And it's not like Tibbs has a sterling track record once his teams get to the playoffs and are worn down anyway. That's kind of been well noted and documented. I don't think you believe in anybody else in the East, right? So I think that the first round could be fun, but I don't have any attachment to the Bulls, the Hawks, the Heat, or the Magic.
No, definitely not.
Which makes it more frustrating about the Sixers, right? Because the Bulls, you could have beaten the Bulls and the Nets, and all of a sudden you could have started some momentum and been right on the cusp of the 10 seed, and instead, Paul George admirably then takes his hiatus. What an honorable gentleman.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. Anything on the NBA card for you this evening that's catching your attention? Again, some of the big games that are happening tonight. Lakers back in action against the T-Wolves. They're 6.5-point favorites, 229. That's a 1040 tip. We also have the Nuggets and the Bucks. Nuggets are 3.5-point road favorites, and the Warriors and Magic. That's a pretty good game as well. Warriors 4.5-point road favorites on the road in Orlando, 212.5. I believe 6-1 since Jimmy Butler joined them. 6-1. So they got it working for themselves out there in Golden State. And but tonight's card with the 5 games in the association. Anything popping out to you, Joe Tansey?
I mean, are the Wolves exhausted at this point? I mean, those two games against the Thunder were incredible.
Yeah, I think the Thunder were exhausted because look what took place last night in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I know there's an extra few days of rest involved there, but to me, that kind of sticks out of, well, the Lakers are full steam ahead. Minnesota just played 2 incredible games against the Thunder. That to me sticks out. Look, I'm going to bet LeBron rebounds at 7.5 until the wheels fall off there. I mean, like they don't have a center. Jackson Hayes is not an NBA center.
No.
That's why the Mark Williams trade was so important, at least for this year. Luka just had a triple-double, but you knew he was doing that against the Mavs. So I like LeBron over 7.5 rebounds. I don't think Gobert is playing either. I think you could actually kind of mix it up here. I think might be a lot of missed shots in this game. You could actually let me pull up the old same game parlay machine for this one. You can get Luka doing this on the fly. So LeBron 8 rebounds, Luka 8 rebounds because they're going to play the majority of the game and they don't have a center. And I think Vanderbilt played a lot of the game last night. Naz Reid's been phenomenal, just in general. And then you have McDaniels, who's been doing a lot of rebounding with Gobert out. So if you do that into the machine here, let me make sure Gobert is out because that's important. Gobert out, Julius Randle out. So you get LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Naz Reid all 8 rebounds, and Jaden McDaniels 6 in case he's defending Luka or LeBron. That pays you at plus 330 over on DraftKings. If you want to put McDaniels up to 8, it gets you up to 600. But those are the guys that are going to attack the glass. The thing with McDaniels betting his props, though, is he usually gets the defensive assignment. That being said, he's had 6+ rebounds in each of the last 5 games, had a double-double in the 2 games against OKC. And OKC didn't play Hartenstein a lot in that second game, and Chet was out. So there's a lack of height against the Thunder in that second game, which screams to me because the Lakers, they have Jackson Hayes starting at center. So, yeah, I think that's something to play around with, a little rebound SGP with LeBron, Luka, Naz, and Jaden McDaniels tonight.
I like that. That's a good angle. And, of course, just taking a look at the points, everybody was all fired up that Luka was going to go for 40+ in the game against his former team. Did not. It was 31.5, stayed under. 26.5 back down to the number for tonight. 24.5 for LeBron James as far as points in tonight's game. All right, let's go ahead and quickly hit on the college card. I got the text message. Got to go back over there and check on the mom. But let's hit on the college card real quick, Joe. And the question that I have for you is this, big picture, before we talk about any of the games that are on your card for this evening. If I removed Auburn and Duke from the conversation, what's the team? Give me the team that you think could make a run and potentially cut down the nets.
Is it Houston?
What if I remove Houston, Duke, and Auburn? Is it as simple as Alabama?
I like Iowa State.
Okay.
So I think I said this in the group chat like a month ago, but I think when you're going to get to March, it's going to be – so the SEC has been the dominant conference all season long. And, oh, by the way, I was going through futures props. I don't have much on the card tonight because it's mid-major Thursday, and it was up late last night. But you have – over-under SEC teams to make the field, 12.5 at plus money at DraftKings. If you look at the latest bubble update from Lenardi, Oklahoma and Arkansas are 13 and 14 right on the bubble. We're at 12 and 13 right on the bubble. I think that's worth taking because, and you've known my thoughts on the bubble really doesn't change much. It doesn't. It just historically, unless somebody makes like a super long run conference tournaments, and nowadays it's so hard to win a conference tournament as a double-digit seed, especially at the power conference level, that I think that's something to look at. But yeah, will the SEC, like beating up on itself, end up hurting them? And that you're going to hear that narrative from now, once you see a bracket up until the first tip on Thursday. And you might hear it longer depending on who survives. But they've played each other. They've gone through the wars. Will that matter? Will they be worn down and then you get a really tough matchup and they just fall apart? Like, is that what's going to happen? Or does Houston and Iowa State, Duke's been rolling everybody in the ACC. Do you make the argument kind of the other way around? Does Duke not benefit from a tougher schedule in the ACC? There's going to be so many narratives floating around, but I think everybody's starting to do their, X many teams can win the title. And I think we're at that point. We know like 8 or 9 that are in it. It's definitely Duke. It's Auburn. Houston, you can't count them out. The Johnnies are in there. I mean, they play incredible defense. And remember, Pitino's won something. I know it gets discarded at some point, but coaching experience in the tournament matters. That's why I don't think you can count out Michigan State either. Izzo's been it's been a long time since he's been there, done that, but he's still done it. And there are very few coaches out there in this field that have. Iowa State, I think, is definitely in the mix. And then you have that kind of conglomerate of SEC teams at the top. It's Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida. Do you throw Texas A&M in there? There's a handful of them. Do you trust Rick Barnes in March? History says you shouldn't, right?
Got a big one on Saturday.
So it's going to be fascinating to see how it shapes up. But I think we're down to about 10 to 12 teams that can win it all.
All right. Yeah, one note on Pitino. He clinched a share of the Big East on Wednesday, and now he is the first head coach in Division I history to win a regular season conference title with 5 different programs. Patriot League, SEC, ACC, the MAC, MAAC, correct? Not the MAC. Mm-hmm. That's MAAC.
Yep.
Was that with Iona?
Iona, yep.
Yeah. And now what he's doing with St. Johnny's. You got to love Rick Pitino. All right. Hey, great stuff, Joe. Can't thank you enough for popping up on here. Final thoughts. Once again, you can find Joe at crossingbroad.com. Anything on your chest that we didn't hit on the sports carousel today, Joe?
No, I don't think so. I think the carousel's empty. I was up at 3 a.m. driving the in-laws to the airport. So there's an empty hamster wheel just spinning right now.
Yeah, we didn't get to hit on the Luka Mavs number. It was 2.5 million viewers. I had that for some comparison for some other sporting events. The NFL Combine officially started yesterday, but Thursday, or we got defensive line, linebackers today, DBs tomorrow, quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs on Saturday, offensive line for the big guys on Sunday. We also have the Hawkeye will be involved with first downs. Yeah, we're stepping our game up in the NFL technology on the sideline, but not goal line. I have to read more on it, but the original article that I read about it is not included goal line. Just ridiculous. Regardless, whatever.
I will. I just took a scroll through the odds board. I'll give you this because it hit on Tuesday and across. I wrote it up over Crossing Broad. Michkov, Owen Tippett, 3 shots on goal each against the Penguins. Penguins give up 30-plus shots on goal per game. Michkov had like 7 the other night. Tippett had 4. Pittsburgh's, they're going to trade a lot of people at the deadline. Flyers still kind of alive. Maybe, not really, but Tippett and Michkov are playing well together.
Keep pumping that Crossing Broad articles out, all right? Yeah, I know what you're doing. It's all right, though. I don't hate it. Hey, look, I got my gritty. Let's go Flyers. Let's go Michkov, I believe. Joe, great stuff. I got to run. Hey, coming up next, though, you are going to hear a double dose of beef. Hello. Double dose of beef and myself. College basketball catch-up show, and then Bending the Edge with Nick McClay and Ryan Beef Coyle. 6 o'clock, you get Swing It and Ding It, so keep it locked right here to The Gambler. Joe Tansey, JTansey90 on socials. Read them at crossingbroad.com. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.